Hi, my name is Shireen and I'm an artist and fashion designer based in Los Angeles. Today, I wanted to talk to you about something that might sound a little scary to some of you artists, and that is painting over your own art. And yes, even if the art took you days, weeks, and even months to finish. And the reason why I say that, and trust me, I used to be one of those artists that if you told me to paint over something that took me that long, I would say, you're crazy, no way. But I realize now that that's the artist ego talking. And over the last 5 years or so, I've gotten pretty comfortable with the idea of painting over some of my old pieces that don't resonate with me anymore, or maybe, I've evolved quite a bit as an artist since I first did those pieces. So when I look at them now, I think there's a way that I can improve this. And enough time has passed that I'm not so tethered to how long it took me to create it or how much effort it took me to finish it. So I challenge you to look at some of your older pieces and maybe some pieces that you're trying to figure out, why isn't this one selling? Or you just look at it and you think, that's not me anymore. Take a picture of it so you have the history of your evolution. But I don't know, I just feel like revisiting these pieces with your new lens of how you view art or the world or anything in general, yourself, and manipulating that piece into something completely different. And it doesn't even have to be a complete redo. I have painted completely over a few of my pieces to make a totally different piece of art. But there are some pieces where I kept like the main element, the subject, and I changed the background and maybe a few other things. But even just doing that completely changed the story of the piece of art and evokes a totally different emotion from the viewer. So I would try it. I mean, I know it's kind of scary, but I think that is the ego talking when you say, oh, I could never paint over something that, took me that long to finish. But it'll be okay, because you can always create more art. And this is also a great idea for those of you who are experiencing an artist block, which I don't really believe in artist block, but I'll get into that in another video. But if you're struggling to come up with the next idea for a new art piece, instead of starting completely from scratch, which can be pretty intimidating, I would look at some of your older pieces that you haven't looked at in a while and think, okay, how can it's already been started, how can I change it to make it different and better, potentially? So, because I think that all of the ones that I have painted over and changed are better for it. And I wouldn't do that with all of my pieces. There are a lot of my pieces that I think are perfect as is, or maybe they have some sentimental value to them and I would not change them. But there are a handful that I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling that anymore. And I think it's time to give it a little upgrade, if you will. And the last thing I'll add is that it can also be a very cathartic experience to paint over an old piece of art that maybe at the time that you did it, you were experiencing some trauma or emotions that you've been able to process since then, or maybe that piece of art was purely for getting those emotions out. And I do have a piece that I did that was very much a trauma piece that I painted completely over, and I didn't even allow that much time to pass between having completed the piece and then deciding to paint over it, because the reason for me to create that piece was to release a lot of frustration and anger and a lot of things that we won't talk about today. But yes, it was very therapeutic to just paint entirely over it and start fresh and move on. So that's the beauty of art, is that it can be so therapeutic. So yes, I know it sounds scary, but it's like when you do one, you'll do another and another, and it just gets kind of easier, and you're a little bit more detached from the art as being like a piece of you, because I get that it's like our babies, but it's good to practice that detachment in a way and be comfortable with completely starting over. So I hope this helps in any capacity on your artistic path, and be sure to subscribe to my channel to get more advice on art and more tips on creating art. I show all kinds of different processes of materials and things like that. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.